Currently 5:24 a.m. and I'm up and I saw some things online and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should work on doing a video about this topic. So I'm not sure how long this video is going to be. As I always state, hopefully it's not that long because sometimes people get bored and they start going off into other things. And hopefully this video has enough information where people will sit back, assess the situation, think about it, and I guess come to their own decision on how they feel about this situation. Of course, I'm going to give my opinion at the end, but there's more than enough information for people to come up with their own thoughts on the information that you see directly in front of you and from what else is in the video.
Cause of fires like this one, and it's not carelessness or negligence. They blame a device attached to thousands of homes, which is supposed to make tracking your energy usage easier for PG&E. 10 million homes in Central and Northern California have smart meters calculating electric bills.
In an Action News special assignment tonight, investigated some fiery complaints about the device in Fresno County.
It can happen in a flash. Fiery videos posted to YouTube by several homeowners show fires they blame on smart meters. Jose Valdez doesn't have video of the fire at his Fireball home in September 2015, but he thinks this is basically what happened. The fire spread across his driveway and back towards the bedrooms in his home.
It was pretty scary. I mean, I have two little girls, a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old at the time, so they were all scared.
Valdez and his family ran out, and by that time, firefighters had already started pouring water on the house. He noticed several PG&E employees got there almost as quickly, and he says one of them removed the smart meter while the firefighters worked. Fireball's fire chief saw it too. He says he's never seen that before, but he thinks he knows why they may have wanted the device.
Investigation after the fire was put out revealed that in all probability the fire was caused by a problem in the electrical panel, and that problem in the electrical panel, in my belief, was the smart meter that was installed in the panel by PG&E.
Dozens of people have blamed smart meters for fires over the last several years, and the issue has been a topic of discussion for the California Public Utilities Commission. But in 2014, a report from the CPUC acknowledging concern about smart meters as the possible cause for some fires said the commission staff determined none of the fires they examined were caused by smart meters. Jose Valdez isn't convinced. His insurance company is suing PG&E over the fire at his house, and they're not alone.
Hi, Deborah Taveras. I certainly do remind you that PG&E is currently under criminal probation. And Pacific Gas and Electric commiserated with the California Public Utility Commission in that email exchange about the laser DEW that was going to be used on Sebastopol in Sonoma County. So I know that this sounds crazy. It did to me at first too, but it came to our attention because PG&E's smart meter director tried to falsely integrate himself into a anti-smart meter movement. So that's how we came up with this email exchange. I think it's vitally important for you to check that out. I know that you have to work with now the perpetrator, as I see it, of this crime that happened to all of us. But I also want to talk about the smart meters and how the smart meters may have influenced the additional burning of the fires, because the smart meters have caused fires all over the world. And with the pulse frequencies that were occurring that night, which is one of the reasons that water station near Spring Lake went down, I was sitting at the water agency meeting about that, and they did have to move on over from PG&E because of the pulse frequencies to their generator system, just what was being said to you right now. But it was pulse frequencies. They were browning out. And I know that many people in their homes were browning out too. So I think it's very important to take into consideration how did the smart meters facilitate the fires as well. I'd be curious to know what PG&E knew on the 16th floor of their weather room. On the 16th floor of the PG&E buildings, they have a meteorologist and a weather station. I actually had the opportunity to tour that, so it does exist. I'd be interested in knowing what PG&E knew about the weather conditions themselves that night, being certainly that Rothschild was involved in Weather Central.
Thank you, Fritz. Mary Morrison, and that you next, followed by John Jacob. Deborah, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Mary. Yes, you are talking about the wrong way. You let your exploiters talk at length here. They all want more staff and more money to take care of this problem, which you are not addressing. This is melted aluminum. This is melted aluminum. I've got all kinds of them. I've got 6-foot-long pieces at home that I collected. This is a metal pan that went through it. It didn't melt. That's because the heat of these explosions was right around 1,400 degrees. This didn't melt. This did. These were explosions. They were not fires. You all talked about how extraordinary they were. And Supervisor Gorman talked about it was like just like they were 50 years ago. We had the same fires coming down from Calistoga, so forth, in Santa Rosa. That took, what, 2 days? This took 4 hours. They weren't the same at all. You've got to start facing reality here. You're wasting a lot of time and money. And whether this thing's going to happen again, it'll only not happen again if you decide and uncover who caused it. And I submit it was an attack on this county, so you wouldn't listen to Mary and I and others, hoping that you will hold Congress accountable for bankrupting this country under martial law 107243. Thank you for listening.
Mr. Reynolds.
So I talked to the owner of this house right here in Pasadena. I talked to the owner. The owner does not have a smart meter on this house, on the front part of his house. There's no smart meter, no smart meter. So the house did not burn. The back house is the part of the house that had the smart meter, and everything in the back of his house is burnt. No smart meter, smart meter. No smart meter, nothing. Nothing's burned. Well, the trees, but the house state is perfectly fine. But the back house is completely gone, and that's the one with the smart meter.
Any kind of build, remodel, anything, you know, the decisions after the decisions and the heart that goes into it.
Oh, the small details.
The details. You talked about the roofing. What about the roof? You said it was fireproof. So do you question what happened?
That's our question. How did it happen? Because the roof was tiled unless the fire came from the sides.
We're driving around up here and they had no water the other day. Now we're seeing every single road we drive down leaking water running all over the place. We saw a broken water main gushing water, and I kid you not, every single street that we drive on, we don't know where this water's coming from, but it's leaking all over the place running down the hill. So they didn't have any the other day, and now it's just leaking all over the place, and we don't know the source of it because it's all over the Palisades.
So I decided to ask ChatGPT, do the smart meters have batteries? It stated yes, many smart meters have small internal batteries, but their role is limited and specific. Characteristics of smart meter batteries. Number 1, type. Most smart meters use long-lasting, non-rechargeable lithium-ion or lithium-thionyl chloride batteries designed for low energy applications. Number 3, non-replaceable. These batteries are usually sealed inside the meter and are not user replaceable. When the battery reaches the end of its life, the meter is generally replaced. Next, we have key characteristics of lithium-thionyl chloride batteries. Number 1, composition. They contain lithium metal as anode, thionyl chloride as a electrolyte, and an inert cathode material. High energy density. These batteries store a significant amount of energy in a compact form, making them highly efficient, but also potentially reactive under certain conditions. Number 3, reactivity. Lithium metals is highly reactive, especially in the presence of moisture or high heat. What happens during a fire? Number 1, thermal runaway. If the battery overheats, it can enter a state called thermal runaway, where heat generates an uncontrollable chain reaction within the battery. This leads to a rapid release of stored energy, increasing the intensity of the fire. Number 2, release of toxic gases. When thionyl chloride decomposes or burns, it can release highly toxic and corrosive gases such as sulfur dioxide, hydrogen chloride. These gases pose significant health risk and require proper ventilation or respiratory protection. Number 3, explosive reaction. Lithium metals react violently with water or moisture, producing hydrogen gas, which is flammable. If containment fails, the rapid pressure buildup can cause the battery to rupture or explode. Number 4, heat and flames. The reaction between lithium and oxygen generates extreme heat, which sustains the fire and makes it challenging to extinguish with conventional methods. Risk and hazards. Toxic exposure. The gases released are harmful if inhaled and can damage respiratory tissues. Fire spread. Intense heat can ignite nearby combustible materials, increasing the risk of secondary fires. Environmental contamination. The byproducts of combustion can contaminate air, water, and soil. Conclusion: when lithium thionyl chloride batteries catch fire, they can pose serious risks due to intense heat, the release of toxic gases, and potential explosion. Handling and storing these batteries carefully and being prepared with the appropriate extinguishing tools can mitigate these risks. At this moment in time, a lot of things are pretty problematic. I saw some other evidence that there was a cloud seeding type of program in Los Angeles or California, whatever, and that some things weren't going how they were supposed to be going as normal. So given that you have a dry, hot climate, you have a lack of moisture in the air, you have these lithium batteries that are within a lot of homes that are attached to these smart devices, aka these readers, and all of a sudden you have this disaster that took place in this climate, which they already told you, if you have these batteries and they happen to catch fire, and then you also give it high heat, is going to be a recipe for disaster. And potentially it could also help lead towards a secondary fire. If you also add water onto that, it's going to exacerbate that whole issue. All I'm saying at this moment in time that a lot of residents should be questioning about these smart meters, and they should be looking directly at these companies at this moment in time. Next, we have this. Thousands of Los Angeles homeowners were dropped by their insurance before the Palisades fire. So I decided to ask online to see what this was about. The recent wildfires in Los Angeles have significantly impacted the fire insurance landscape, leading to increased challenges for homeowners seeking coverage. Key developments include insurers' withdrawals and policy non-renewals. Major insurance companies such as State Farm have reduced or ceased offering coverage in high-risk areas like Pacific Palisades. This has forced many residents to turn to the California Fair Plan, the state's insurer of last resort. At least we have this information with the video playing silently in the back. Reservoir in the Palisades that holds 117 million gallons of water was offline this month for previously scheduled maintenance. It was empty when the Palisades fire exploded. This is taken from the Los Angeles Times. They stated a large reservoir in Pacific Palisades that is part of the Los Angeles water supply system was out of commission when the ferocious wildfire destroyed thousands of homes and other structures nearby. Officials have stated that the Santa Ynez Reservoir had been closed since about February for repairs to its cover, leaving a 117 million gallon water shortage complex empty in the heart of the Palisades for nearly a whole year. So now you have to ask yourself, with the information that has been put together and that's directly in front of you, who is at cause for this whole fiasco? You've had the smart meters whoever the electric company provider directly is. Again, these are problems that date back even further than some of the videos that I showed you, which were 2017 and 2018, respectively. Then on top of that, other news stories that also showcased some things as well. You heard what the lithium batteries can do if they are exposed to both high heat and also moisture and or water. And then we also know that the batteries can only be replaced if the whole unit is replaced itself. The other thing is also as well, you heard from the fire chief that it was very out of current to have the company come out when they're putting out the fire and they know that an investigation is going to take place. They took the meter directly off of the home. Again, that's very strange. On top of that, the reservoir, which holds 117 million gallons of water, was offline for a full-fledged year because of a quote-unquote repair. And last but not least, oddly enough, you had the insurance companies decide that, hey, we're going to silently back away and we're going to mess up everybody's policies so that they can't collect and get the money that they need because of this quote-unquote accidental fire. Again, policies of which everybody pays for monthly from their hard-earned money, and tax dollars which are supposed to go towards fire and anything else that's supposed to help extinguish any of these things. Nothing works. So these people are pretty much without house, home, food, and shelter, and no type of insurance. These people are, all intents and purposes, homeless. And the only people that are profiting is the electric energy company and the insurance company. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about this video and everything that I stated in the comment description below. And as always, peace, love, and stay tuned for the next video.